It was a quiet morning in August 2017. Somewhere outside Accra, a man sat in silence, unaware that his life was about to change forever. His phone buzzed repeatedly, dozens of missed calls. Friends, partners, and journalists were all looking for him. When he finally answered, he didn't expect what came. The news was everywhere. UT Bank, once the symbol of innovation, boldness, and trust, was gone. The Bank of Ghana has revoked its licenses. GCB Bank had taken over its assets and liabilities. 2 decades of hard work wiped out in one morning headline. For many, it was just another financial story. But for one man, Prince Kofi Amoabeng, it was the end of a dream, a lifetime of service, and the unraveling of the legacy he had built from nothing. The story of UT Bank did not begin with a grand banking vision. It began with frustration and necessity. In 1997, Kofi Amoabeng, a retired military officer turned businessman, faced a familiar problem. He had secured a contract but needed financing to execute it. He approached banks for a loan and was turned away. They said he lacked collateral, lacked the right connections, lacked the profile. But instead of giving up, he saw an opportunity. If traditional banks wouldn't lend to hardworking people with potential, he would. So he founded Unique Trust Financial Service with one simple idea: making lending fast, fair, and accessible. No bureaucracy, no endless paperwork, just trust, the very thing Ghana's banking system had forgotten. The name said it all: Unique Trust. In the late 1990s, Ghana's financial landscape was conservative. Banks moved slowly. They favored the elite. But Unique Trust was different. Clients could walk in, explain their business, and walk out with a loan, sometimes the same day. The model was risky, but revolutionary. It wasn't about collateral, it was about character. People called it crazy, but within a few years, everyone was talking about UT. By the early 20s, UT had become a lifeline for small business owners, traders, and entrepreneurs who had been invisible to traditional banks. They came in desperate. They left hopeful. The streets of Accra began to tell stories of a company that helped ordinary people dream again. By 2003, UT had done what few people thought possible. It became a household name. With every success story, the legend grew. From the market woman in Makola to the contractor in Kumasi, everyone knew UT. The company's marketing was bold, confident, and its leader mirrored the same energy. Kofi Amoabeng wasn't your typical CEO. He dressed simply, laughed easily, and treated his staffs like equals. He was accessible, even listing his personal phone number at every branch. He led with trust and demanded discipline. To many, he was an icon of integrity. To others, he was too free, too confident, even arrogant. But he didn't care. He believed in results, and the results spoke loudly. In 2008, UT acquired BPI Bank, giving it access to a banking license. By 2010, UT Bank was officially listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange, a milestone that transformed it from a loan company into a fully fledged financial institution. For Ghana, it was a symbol of pride. For Amoabeng, It was the realization of a vision that began with rejection. He had built a bank not for the privileged, but for the people. From 2010 to 2014, UT Bank soared, sponsored major events, featured in business magazines, and won multiple awards. For the first time, UT was Ghana's most trusted bank, its fastest growing financial brand. Customers spoke of efficiency, innovation, and personal care. The bank gave out loans in hours, when others took weeks. At its peak, UT employed thousands, with branches across the country. Investors poured in money. The future looked unstoppable. But behind the glass offices and glowing headlines, cracks were beginning to form. Bad loans were piling up. Collections were slowing. And the economy, once buoyant, began to strain. The very system UT had built to serve the unserved was now exposing it to massive risks. It was a slow, invisible storm. As Ghana's economy tightened, UT faced an uncontrollable reality. Many borrowers couldn't repay their loans. The aggressive lending model that made UT a hero was now becoming their biggest vulnerability. But publicly, the confidence never wavered. Amoabeng continued to project strength. He remained approachable, optimistic, and focused. Every branch still had his personal phone number boldly displayed. He refused to hide from clients. But the pressure was immense. Investors were anxious. The central bank was watching. The press began asking questions. To some, Amoabeng appeared unshaken, too confident, and even reckless. But deep down, he knew the system was changing faster than anyone could control. By 2015, the numbers were impossible to ignore. UT Bank was struggling. The balance sheets told a story of deep strain, non-performing loans, rising costs, declining capital. The man who had built it from nothing faced a painful truth. The institution needed a new hand at the helm. 20 months before the eventual collapse, Kofi Amoabeng stepped down as CEO. He did it quietly, without drama or headlines. Not out of surrender, but hope that someone else might steady the ship. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, he was on the outside looking in. He had built the dream. Now he could only watch as others tried to save it. It was the morning of August 14, 2017, in Accra. The news spread like wildfire. The Bank of Ghana had revoked the licenses of UT Bank and Capital Bank. Their assets and deposits were being taken over by GCB Bank. For thousands of employees, it was chaos. For customers, confusion. For one man, silence. Outside the city, Kofi Amoabeng saw his phone flooded with calls. He didn't need to ask why. He already knew the dream was over. 20 years of building trust, reputation, and hope gone in a single press release. The man who once personified confidence now faced the quiet echo of loss. UT Bank was not just a company. It was his identity, his life's work. And in that moment, it vanished. The aftermath was painful. Employees were left stranded. Thousands of customers searched for answers. The media digested every decision, every number, every move. Some accused management of negligence. Others saw it as an inevitable cost of ambition. For Amoabeng, it wasn't just a financial loss. It was a human one. Decades of relationships, loyalty, and shared dreams dissolved overnight. The man once praised as a visionary was now a symbol of caution, a reminder of how fragile success can be. Every empire has a lesson. UT Bank's story was not one of greed, but of risks, of believing too deeply in people, perhaps too much in trust. Its fall revealed how thin the line is between confidence and collapse, how quickly a nation's pride can become its pain. Yet, even in those times, there was something powerful: resilience. Amoabeng didn't hide. He didn't point fingers. He simply accepted, learned, and moved forward. He once said, "Success without integrity is failure in disguise." And through his loss, the truth became clearer than ever. Today, years after the fall, the name UT still carries weight, not in wealth, but of memory. It reminds Ghana of what is possible when one man dares to challenge the system. It also warns of what happens when growth outthins control. From 1997 to 2017, 2 decades of vision, discipline, and courage. A story that began with rejection and ended with reflection. Kofi Amoabeng built more than a bank. He built belief in innovation, in people, in possibility. And though the institution is gone, the idea remains that somewhere in Ghana, someone who was once denied a loan might remember UT and still dare to dream. The fall of UT Bank wasn't just a corporate collapse. It was the story of a man, a nation, and a moment of history. A story of trust, triumph, and tragedy, of how one dream lifted millions and how its fall reminded us of how the fragile lines between success and failure is. In the end, perhaps the real legacy of UT is not the fall, but the courage to rise in the first place.